Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Motley and today I'm going to show you 10 super simple steps to plan and build an awesome custom village in Minecraft. Now the island you're currently seeing is actually a creative version of my survival let's play world, and this will be playing in the background to demonstrate some of the steps throughout this video. Now that's out of the way, let's get straight into it. First and foremost, form these function. So the first question you need to ask yourself is how aesthetically pleasing do you want your village to look against how productive do you want to be? If you're building a village, I'm assuming you're looking for something that's more pretty than productive. If you are looking for something more productive, it sounds more like you need an industrial district and potentially a villager trading hall. For those of you that want a pretty build with a little bit of productivity, just remember to factor these builds in at the beginning of the village planning. And remember, you can normally always dig down, and that is totally what we're going to be doing. Now we know what we want to build, we need to decide how big we want to build. Are we talking of a village here or a sprawling metropolis? In our case, we have this lovely spawn island in our survival world, so we're going to let this define our area and just fill it in and make it feel all organic and dense. But perhaps you're building in a desert and you have terrain for days, or you want to terraform an entire floating island for your village to sit up on. So you're going to need to think about how big to go before you start building, just to define the edges and to make the whole village look cohesive and make sense. It's also worth considering which game mode and mods you're using to build your village in. If you're building in creative, this takes a lot of motivation, so you've got to know you've got it in you to get this thing done, okay? Step 3, location, location, location. You might already have somewhere in mind you want to build, but if not, it's time to go exploring, or building, or terraforming the area you want. Again, consider the effort of doing this. Some of my favorite villages of all time are simply retrofitted, pre-generated villages. And that's cool, the world is your oyster after all. For us though, we're going to end up back on this here spawn island a lot. I mean, we die a lot, so I might as well make it look good. Now we're cooking with gas. The fourth step is one we have actually already done here. It's only for you crazy, amazing people like myself who are building in survival mode. I know, so modest. And that is, I highly recommend you plan your village in a creative world. Perhaps even do some of the rough building. This is going to save you so much time and energy. Plus it'll ultimately help you get your village completed, so have at it. Alright, well go on then, get to it. Step 5. Now we get to choose a theme. Perhaps you've decided on the desert and so you want to make it desert theme, or perhaps you're building under the water. You're going to have mermaids and Ariel floating around. Or you want to go completely crazy and have a jumbled mess. That's a theme. Now's the time to choose. And particularly if you're going to be building this in survival one day, choose your block palette carefully. If you haven't beaten the dragon yet and you decide to use tons of endstone, that's going to be tricky. But alternately, perhaps this is part of the story arc. It's part of the journey. And that's up to you to decide. Step 6, my favorite stage, the terraforming. Now it's time to fill in all those little crags and holes and caves that pre-generated Minecraft terrain gets. It's also time to maybe defoliate the area just because it's easier for the actual planning stage. You can pop these back in later. And if you are building an entire island or a dome underneath the ocean, probably time to get that out of the way. Good luck. Step 7. Now the big bit. And this is the outlining. Now you want to use a high contrast, easily accessible block. If you're in creative, this isn't an issue. Wall, concrete, they will be fine. But if you're doing this survival, against my advice, then sandstone and netherrack can actually be instantly broken quite early game. Those are good blocks to go for. Now, you'll want to define the buildings and then the paths and then also any structures that you are going to be using. If your village has different districts, then you want to somehow delineate these. You could do this with a river, a wall, a drawbridge, a cliff face, a forest, or whatever you want. For our village, we've got a rural area and then we've got a towny sort of city area. And to break them up, I'm going to build a big town hall, which is going to be on the cliff. And then we're going to have trees to one side. And then on the other side, we're going to have a wall with a gate in. That will then lead to the natural area of the island. And I think it's going to look really good. But perhaps you want to have a tiered system and it will look like Minas Tirith in the end. It's up to you. It's your world. Go for it. And then one of the most important things to consider at this stage is the verticality. What is the skyline of your town, village, city going to look like? For us, we're only going to have a few tall buildings, and so I don't want them to all be in a line or to be all clustered to one corner of the build because I think it would look weird. But if you're building a city and it's the financial district, perhaps it makes sense to have the tallest buildings there. So just consider this when you're building. And finally, consider the paths. If you are building a city, again, straight roads are the tendency to go for. I would still lean against gentle curving paths because it just draws the eye around a corner and makes it look more interesting. For us, we're going proper rural, so there's going to be hairpin turns and dark alleyways and dead ends and all sorts of stuff. Step 8. Now, where are you going to start? Where do you want to start your building? You can either start in, say, a starter build, or if you're doing this in survival, perhaps you need to build the concrete factory because you're going to need the concrete to build half of the buildings. So start there. But wherever you start, I would start in that area and work out. Do not jump all over the place. It's going to be demotivating to see how much you've got to do, and it's also going to make it quite difficult to make everything knit and tie together nicely. I would go area by area and just grow with time. It's also because when we did the outlining, it was just random shapes. It wasn't concrete, it wasn't down in stone, literally. And so you have the ability to increase the size or decrease the size of buildings as you go. Whereas if you start to limit the amount of space you've got to spread into or leave out, then it's going to start looking weird. Step 9. Now we're getting there. The organics and movement. So now it's time to make the place look alive, or dead if you're doing a toxic waste dump. And also to add some movement. So I'm talking about minecarts, I'm talking about smoke, I'm talking about bees or cows or NPC villagers, whatever you want. It's time to give the place a bit of movement. This is going to make your build not just look like a diorama, it's going to make it look like it's got some life to it. And this is the tip to make it truly stand out. And the final step is to enjoy it. You have done it. You have built this amazing build. Show it off to your friends. Just be so proud of what you've accomplished. And who says it stops here? Perhaps you decide that you want to expand it. That's cool. Or perhaps you want to do different themed villages all over a continent and build a trading route between them. Now it's the time to have more fun and perhaps invite some friends and they can all build a village themselves. And that's it, guys. 10 super simple steps to build an amazing Minecraft village. This is the world we're going to be building in our survival let's play series, so please come along and enjoy the journey. I'm realizing right now that this is quite a lot to do. If you do have any suggestions, please let me know. And I really enjoyed doing this tutorial, so if you have any other ones you'd like me to do, please let me know. And as always, please consider liking and subscribing if you do enjoy my content. Okay, that's all from me. Hope you have a good day and goodbye, guys.